Spider-Man from the Raimi trilogy, Tobey's Spider-Man, is arguably the strongest iteration of Spider-Man that we've seen up on the big screen. And today, we're going to be putting that to the test. Tobey's already fought against a lot of powerful villains in his movies. Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Venom. But today, he gets to run a gauntlet of all the other live-action Spider-Man villains. And not just Tom and Andrew's villains. No, we're including Sony villains too. So how's Spider-Man gonna do? Can he run the gauntlet? Let's find out. Peter Parker is a young photographer for the Daily Bugle who was bitten by a genetically modified spider while out on a high school field trip, granting him superhuman abilities and spider-like powers. From there, after one fateful day, he became the costumed superhero known as Spider-Man. He's fought against evil billionaires, mad scientists, and evil space aliens. But he's managed to come out the other side every time, always being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And being Spider-Man, well, obviously, Peter has some crazy superhuman strength. He's strong enough to easily throw around cars, casually caught a trolley car full of kids with just one hand. Then during his battle with Dr. Octopus, Spider-Man was able to support a warehouse wall that you could scale up to 35 tons. So some very impressive strength. Clearly shows up when Spider-Man fights too. Like he's able to trade blows with Green Goblin, Venom, Sandman, all sorts of crazy powerful villains. And thanks to No Way Home, we can clearly see that Tobey scales to all the other Spider-Men too, even overpowering Tom and stopping him from landing a killing blow. So it makes sense that everything the other Spider-Men have done, Tobey should be able to relatively scale to it as well. Spider-Man's also insanely tough and durable. He's taken some pretty massive beatings before. Like Green Goblin has just absolutely wailed on him in their fights, and Spider-Man still remains standing, even after taking a point-blank grenade blast to the face. A grenade that can completely vaporize the average person and leave them as just a skeleton. Spider-Man was tough enough to take all those attacks and kept on fighting to actually win the fight. And this is pretty consistent for how it goes for Peter. Like he got absolutely pummeled by Venom and Sandman. They were straight up taking turns just hitting him. And even through all of it, Spider-Man didn't go down. Managed to get back into the fight just a few moments later. Quitters don't quit. But honestly, Spider-Man's greatest physical stats might just be his speed and his agility, especially since he's now got scaling off of everyone in No Way Home. He's fast enough to casually dodge bullets, he can swing through the streets of New York with absolute ease, and can basically avoid any attack that comes his way. Tobey was even able to outreact Andrew, and the Amazing Spider-Man is known for his speed, dodging point-blank automatic gunfire, and even dodging lightning blast with ease. Tobey was the faster one out of the two, and Tobey backed this up as well. He himself managed to dodge lightning during his fight with Electro. So it is consistent for him at this point, and definitely something that he can do. Spider-Man is an absolute genius, one of the smartest men on the planet, and his intellect is enough to impress world-renowned scientists and experts in their fields. He's got a spider sense that obviously comes in handy in fights. While it might not be as sophisticated as Tom's, it basically grants him an omnidirectional sense of his surroundings at all time. And one thing that separates this Spider-Man from all the others is that he can create organic webbing, meaning he doesn't need web shooters and doesn't have the risk of running out of webbing in a fight. Alright, so the Gauntlet is going to consist of Shocker, Vulture, Kraven, Lizard, Green Goblin, Morbius, Mysterio, Venom, Carnage, and Electro. So a murderer's row of some pretty powerful villains. Let's see how far Spider-Man can make it. And starting out, well, it's Shocker. And I mean, I don't think this one is necessarily going to be all that controversial. Of course, Spider-Man can defeat the Shocker. The best you can say for Shocker is that he throws a mean punch. And that he does. But even at his strongest, well, he still wasn't strong enough to knock out a Spider-Man who was at his weakest. Not to mention that with Tobey's Spider-Man, well, good argument that Shocker doesn't even manage to land a hit. And outside of the tech, well, Shocker is just a normal guy. A single flick from Peter, and Shocker is knocked out. Again, don't think this is going to be all that hard. Spider-Man should destroy the Vulture. Homecoming Spider-Man was a pretty significant downgrade for Spider-Man's power levels, constantly getting hit and kind of fumbling around because of his inexperience. Tobey doesn't play that way. He should be able to rip into the Vulture's suit fairly easily. He's had experience fighting flying opponents before, and has shown that he can target their weak spots. In the meantime, well, Spider-Man could just tank or dodge whatever the Vulture throws at him. And again, at the end of it, behind all the tech is just an old retiree, and Spider-Man should be able to knock him out pretty easily. Kraven the Hunter was honestly pretty impressive in his movie. But at the same time, Kraven is kind of just topping out at super soldier levels. Realistically, that's the highest that you can scale him. Everything that he was doing, you could see someone like Captain America or US Agent doing the same thing. And no, that doesn't mean that Kraven will be able to pull off something similar to Cap versus Spider-Man at the airport, because Raimi Spider-Man would crush Kraven. Spider-Man outstats Kraven in every way, not to mention that Tobey is a straight savage in a fight. He'll just go to town on his opponent. Kraven honestly doesn't stand a chance. Lizard is interesting, and probably the first villain that will actually be able to press Spider-Man in a fight. Especially since we already saw Lizard press Spider-Man in a fight. At the same time, the main reason that fight was even close was because all the other Spider-Men were messing everything up, and it was just a big, chaotic mess. If it was just Lizard and Tobey going at it mano-a-mano, Tobey comes out on top pretty much every time. Lizard is definitely Tobey's physical equal, especially since we've seen him just straight bully Andrew before. But Tobey has plenty of experience fighting guys who can throw him around, and Lizard is really nothing new. A bit of a tougher fight, but Spider-Man still comes out all the same. This is one of those moments where it's just been there, done that. Spider-Man's already fought two versions of Green Goblin before, and this Goblin is arguably weaker than both of them. At the very least, he's definitely weaker than Norman's Goblin. I mean, the main reason why Green Goblin was even able to fight against Spider-Man was because Spider-Man was exhausted from having just fought Electro right before that. And even then, Goblin wasn't able to beat Spider-Man. And so battling against a stronger and more experienced Spider-Man, yeah, Green Goblin doesn't stand a chance. And here's where there's another pretty massive spike in difficulty. Because you can make a fair and honest argument that Morbius could beat Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man's physical equal. You could actually say that Morbius is faster than Spider-Man, and his claws are a pretty hard counter to Spider-Man's durability. Morbius is definitely powerful enough to give him a really good fight. But I'm gonna lean on Spider-Man's experience and say that he can still come out on top. Very, very hard fight, especially factoring in Morbius's great durability and healing factor, but still think Spider-Man can come out on top. Mysterio definitely has it in him to give Spider-Man a very, very good fight. His tech and illusions are just top tier. However, Spider-Man's already proven that the spider sense can get around these illusions, while Tobey's spider sense isn't necessarily better than Tom's. It will be just as effective. Tobey's spider sense essentially gives him an omnidirectional spatial awareness for every real thing around him, meaning that it's possible the spider sense instantly bypasses the giant illusions and just perceives the drones flying around. Plus, his spider sense also gives him the ability to basically go slow-mo. All in all, Spider-Man has dodged a whole bunch of projectiles in the past, and I'm going to make the leap to say that he can do it again. If he can get to Mysterio, well, then he can take him out. Here's another massive jump in difficulty. Because honestly, it might just be easier to argue that Venom can beat Spider-Man versus Spider-Man beating Venom. Venom has some absolute insane durability and regeneration, better than Spider-Man's. And Venom has some crazy strength too, both battling against Carnage and Riot, but you can argue that he's right up there with Spider-Man there as well. The one physical advantage that Spider-Man truly has is speed and agility, but Venom has so many additional powers and abilities that it again tilts the scale in his favor. But here's the catch. Spider-Man has experience battling against symbiotes and knows their weaknesses. And that's the key, because while Spider-Man battled against a weaker version of Venom, he knows their weaknesses and can then exploit that against the stronger and more powerful version of Venom. And while this Venom is more resistant to his weaknesses, just because he's stronger and more powerful, still think that Spider-Man can come out the other side because of this knowledge. And if you thought that Venom was a hard fight for Spider-Man, well, Carnage is going to be even more difficult. Because for everything that Venom can do, which is a lot, well, Carnage can do it better. And Carnage can do more. He's stronger, he's tougher, he's absolutely insane, and has no problem wrecking shop in any fight. As if that wasn't bad enough, has no problem throwing tentacles and blades and projectiles, which will cut right through Spider-Man's durability. But it still comes back to the fact that Spider-Man has battled against symbiotes before, and knows their strengths and knows their weaknesses. It will be a way harder fight than even Venom, but I think Spider-Man could possibly pull it off. However, I don't really see any good way that Spider-Man could beat Electro, minus prep time or outside help, of course. I mean, that's the only way that Electro has ever been beaten before. People were helping Spider-Man, and they had specially designed tech that could shut Electro down. I mean, he really is pure living electricity, and he can amp himself to become even more powerful than he is at his base. He can't be physically beaten by Spider-Man, who is able to overpower multiple Spider-Men at once. Electro is just that guy. And I think he's going to be beating Tobey in almost every one-on-one fight that they have.